To our MC of our afternoon, and that is Anise Anderson.
Thank you, Valerie. I missed the banner parade yesterday. That was a powerful presentation with fireworks, smoke, and actual fire. It definitely represents power of the past, force of the future. Great job, Allison. And if you're just tuning in, welcome to, again, the second and final day of the 2021 Annual District 103 Toastmasters Virtual Conference. We're back in the main room, and are you ready for our last, but certainly not least, education session with Linda Patten, Zoom Etiquette and Beyond. Linda Patten joined Toastmasters in December of 2019. Since then, she has skyrocketed into speaking and leadership. She has completed the Triple Crown in 2019, 2020, and 2020, 2021. Linda was awarded the Outstanding Award Toastmasters in 2019, 2020, and 2020, 2021.
Not easy to say.
And I know, and she will be awarded her DTM in July of this year, having completed her DTM project as the executive director for Leaders Worldwide, a club that she sponsored and is mentoring with a very unique format. She has been named a district finance officer for 2020, 2021, and holds the secretary role in Heart2Heart and Leaders Worldwide. In this session, we will all learn the do's and don'ts when conducting a Toastmasters Club meeting via Zoom. Please get your hands ready and help me welcome Linda Patten to the center stage.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. I am honored to be here and to be able to speak with you about Zoom etiquette. So let's get started. All right, and it is here, and there. Okay, so Zoom etiquette and beyond. We're not going to talk about technology. We're going to talk about you. We're going to talk about your environment. We're going to talk about your manners. And I have a couple of fun things that you can do to make your meetings fun. And I would love to hear from you all, as well as what other fun things have you been doing with your clubs since we've been in the pandemic. So the objectives basically are to increase your comfort with the digital platform, to be more professional as both a guest and as a host, to increase your confidence in presentations, your ability to impact your audience with the power of your storytelling, your inspiration, your humor, and the other key areas within Toastmasters. We heard Patricia Fripp this morning talk so much about storytelling, inspiration, humor, and how to be a better presenter. Doing it on Zoom is equally as challenging. Can we also increase your ability to teach others, your club members, to increase their professionalism at meetings and beyond? So being willing to call them out if you need to make sure that your club meetings are the best that they possibly can be. So in our time together, we're going to look at setting up your studio, audiovisual quality, host and guest etiquette, your digital connections, and then some creative and fun ideas for meeting themes that you might consider over the next few months. That's me. I'm going to date myself and tell you that I started working on digital platforms when Google Hangouts was de rigueur. Now, my coach told me at that time that, one, you must dress professionally, thus the jacket that I'm wearing there. In addition, you needed to wear stage makeup, have your hair professionally done, And then one thing that drove me nuts when you're sitting on an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, a full day workshop is to smile and look at the camera, whether you're on camera or not. Can you imagine being in your Toastmasters meeting and looking at your camera and smiling for an hour or more? Our Toastmasters meetings are 2 hours long. I'm not sure anyone could do that. But as a speaker, yes, you need to be looking at your camera. If you have notes, they need to be close to the camera so that you can address them as you're moving on. Things have changed quite a bit since Google Hangouts. Let's start with you. Webinars, education, meetings. I don't know about you, but are you getting Zoom fatigue? If you are, raise your hand. I have to tell you, I'm on Zoom something like 4 to 8 hours a day. And one of the things that I'm going to say to you is, please make sure that your platform is comfortable for you, that you have the features that you need in order to provide a great experience for yourself and for your participants. Now, there are other platforms besides Google Hangouts and Zoom. You might try WebEx, Skype, Microsoft Teams, GoToMeetings, BlueJeans, and such. Choose the one that works best for you and own it, know it intimately, so that when things like Zoom bombers arrive on your meeting, you know how to play Jedi Knight and get rid of them all in less than a minute. Those are the kinds of things you need to be ready for. And you can do all the preparation you want with registration, and only links go to people who have registered. And still, there are ways for them to get in. Waiting rooms are another great way to keep them at bay, because if the name doesn't represent something you recognize, perhaps you don't want to let them in. You may want to have a conversation with them before you let them in. Do y'all remember, I mean, you're all too young to remember this, but in World War II, there was a cartoon that was sort of passed around the various battlefields, and it was Kilroy was here. The only thing missing here are the hands over the top of the barrier. One thing you need to make sure of is that your camera is in such a position that we get to see all of your beautiful face, not just your eyes. This makes us wonder what you're doing below the camera. Are you eating something? Are you drinking? Are you taking notes? What are you doing? Make sure the camera is in a position where we can see from probably around mid-chest all the way up to the top of your head. And there's always this one. It doesn't work either. Again, the audience should be able to see the top of your head and just above your chest. It's very important that you test your frame. I know when I come into Zoom, usually there's a panel that says, test your audio, test your video. And I'll be honest, even though I know where my camera is and I know how it relates, I still check it every time to make sure that someone hasn't knocked it, or I haven't knocked it, or I pulled on the cord and it's no longer where it needs to be. Also remember that if you want to stand up and speak, which is something many people do, in contests, I believe you have to do that. One of the things to consider, again, is how much of you is in the screen. The further back you go from your camera, it's okay from a video perspective, but you could lose your audio. And at that point, you may want to consider having a wireless mic that will help with the audio so that we can hear you clearly and distinctly. I also find that even if I can hear people at that distance, oftentimes the audio is not very distinct. It's garbled. And so make sure that both of those things work. Practice with your presentation on Zoom. Record it, watch it, and see where you are missing something that you could make your presentation even better. Then there is always the challenge of coming in too close. I've actually had somebody do this where they were trying to check on something and they were literally on top of their camera. It's a pretty picture, but it's not really what you want to see of the individual. You want to see their whole face, not just the iris of their eye or the bloodshots on the side of their eye. So again, make sure you do all of your adjustments before you're live on camera. Eye contact. This is something that's become somewhat challenging in the Toastmasters world. One of the things that we value so much is being able to look at every one of the people who are in your audience and to make contact with them and to make them feel that you're speaking only to them. It's even a category that you get evaluated on all of your speech evaluations. Well, doing that on Zoom, i.e. looking at all the people in the gallery, means that you're not looking at them, because how you need to look at your audience in the digital world is through the camera. And that sometimes can be challenging. We tend to want to look to the left or the right, or we might be looking down, or as you can see, what really should be your eye contact is directly into that camera. I have to be honest, I've gotten to a place in evaluating Toastmasters that I don't evaluate eye contact because I find that most of us, because we're so used to being live, we tend to drift into the audience to see how they're reacting and whether they're reacting and how your performance is landing with them. The frame. Have you ever noticed that oftentimes people will do gestures that put them outside their frame? You kind of wonder what I'm doing out here with my hands. Am I doing something that you should know about? Also, if you have your camera such that it's relatively low, people tend to drop their hands. And again, the question is, what's going on down here? Is it something that I should be aware of? And so again, when you practice, make sure that your gestures are within your frame. Also, if you're doing voices, Patricia talked something about, if you're going to do a conversation that you've been having and you may be doing different voices and you want to turn to be one person and then turn to be the other person, recognize where you are in your frame so that you don't move outside of it and people lose you or they lose your gestures. It's important to recognize how big a space you really have when you're speaking digitally. What do I wear? Well, you could wear a hoodie. I'd be honest with you that I would say the one place you could do that is if you were having a coffee chat. It was very informal to two people who know each other well, and you're just having a chat. Although I'm not sure that I would pull my hood up so that you can't see my face. What I find and what my coaches have told me is to dress at least one step above your audience. So if your audience is in dress casual, then putting on a jacket would be a way to elevate yourself as the speaker, to be one step above them. Even when I do in-person presentations, I try to be just a bit more formal than the people who are in my audience. Again, it establishes credibility, it establishes your experience, and that you have some weight to the presentation that you're making. I had a wonderful coach who said, don't worry about what's on the bottom. You could wear pajamas and slippers as long as you are dressed from where your camera stops to the top of your head. So what she did is she always had a great jacket on. She had phenomenal earrings. She'd wear some jewelry. I have my Panther, Nyla, who comes with me everywhere, I am wearing jeans underneath. She would wear pajamas with slippers, and we never knew until she told us. One caution, though, is watch the plaids, watch the polka dots, watch the color balance. It can be distracting. It can be annoying. It can also be a bit obscure depending upon what you're wearing at the time. Leave out any bold prints, floral prints, shiny objects, fuzzy objects, and that kind of thing. Leave them in your closet at least while you're speaking. There are perfect times for that. And in fact, you might have that as one of your meeting goals, that, you know, this month we're going to come in something that's outrageous, or we did bringing in a Christmas, you know, wearing something Christmassy. It could be a Christmas decoration or whatever. Then it's appropriate to be a little avant-garde or a little out of the box. Otherwise, I would say stay as professional as you can. The gentleman to my right is in a t-shirt. If it is a corporate meeting, a team meeting where you're all casual, you're all coming in from where you're working, then by all means, wear what you would wear to work and feel comfortable in it. My favorite two things: make sure that your camera is in such a place that we're not looking up your nose, like our wonderful critter over here. I have many people who are, again, sitting on couches, sitting in the beds, sitting on very comfortable chairs outside, and they're on their laptop or their iPad or any other kind of pad, and they have it down on their lap. Well, what happens is you're looking down at the camera, and so what I see is your nose. Make sure that you bring your camera up to eye level so that we're looking straight at you and you're looking straight at the camera. Also, I'm not going to talk about microphones, but Deborah's going to put in the chat a document that I did from a presentation that I did a while ago called, and it's questions from the chat. I asked the audience to put their questions in the chat so that we could answer some online, and then I could answer the rest of them afterwards. So in there are also technical references and things that you might consider. If you're using your camera's audio, great. Just make sure that it's clear enough that people can hear you, that you can adjust it as necessary. Obviously, having a separate mic might be clearer, more professional. I tend not to like the fact that I have to wear headphones with both of my professional mics, and I'm looking for a slightly different way. But when I was doing a radio show, I used my Yeti with a headset to make sure that I was perfectly clear. This young gentleman, you're never sure whether you're going to have a problem with your P's and other letters of the alphabet. So he has a spit guard in front of him. It also is called a pop guard, so that when you do pop your P's or other letters like that, that it's not heard on the microphone. It doesn't come across as a boom, boom, boom kind of thing. Okay. This is my colleague, Carrie. She was the one who also did all my graphics. Lighting. Lighting is so very important. And with us being at home and not necessarily in a professional environment, sometimes lighting can be a real challenge. In her case, she has a gorgeous window behind her. As you can see, she lives in Arizona and the sun is very, very, very bright. We lose her. I have had people on Toastmasters calls who we see nothing of them because their lighting is so poor. Definitely, if you can, pull a drape across it, if you have blackout curtains, whatever it might be. But when you do that, then you must have lighting in front of you, basically behind your camera, that can light your face, can light the area. If you are relying on natural lighting, like when I'm home, oftentimes I rely on natural lighting, you have to also recognize that the sun moves. Nothing new, but oftentimes we forget that. And so you test the light and you go, oh, it's perfect. I know I can do it here. And then at the time of your call or your meeting or your educational piece, the sun has moved. And all of a sudden it's either too dark or it's too light in the room. I actually was sitting on a board meeting and watched the sun move and watched my video go to just my face. I looked like all that was there was my face. There was not, everything else was black. So be careful of your lighting and get appropriate lighting. Ring lights are great. And as I said, there are some resources in the questions from the chat. You want to make sure that your whole face is lit, like the lady on the far right. Half of it, again, not enough. You wonder what's wrong with the other side of his head, or just having a piece of the face. You know, is he the Phantom of the Opera and he's wearing a mask on the other side? What's going on? People want to know. They want to see you as you are. So, and also make sure that the light bulbs that are in your lights do not turn you yellow or red. Okay. When you set up your space, find a quiet space. If you have family who's there, or dogs or cats or anything else, make sure that they know that you're filming. In my office, I put out a sign that says filming. I put the trash out and everything else so that our cleaning people do not interrupt me during an evening meeting. Now, during the day, it's not as big a challenge because there's no one here except my husband, and he knows that he needs to be quiet when I'm filming or when I'm doing some kind of a radio show or whatever. There are things that the mute button are great for. Please use it. If you've got helicopters flying over, or airplanes, firefighters, police, your local dog. It's funny, when you close that door, your animals seem to think, Mom, you need to let us in. We want to be there too. And of course, with us having our children at home, although there are now more of them are going back to school, oftentimes they, again, say the same thing. Mom, I need something. Can you come here? So the mute button is designed for these kinds of situations. Use it as necessary. Okay, the bane of my existence, and I do apologize to the wonderful people in the conference committee who sent out, created phenomenal virtual backgrounds. My concern with virtual backgrounds is exactly what you see here. Carrie has disappeared into the background. I watch people with virtual backgrounds disappear and then come back. A shoulder goes away and then it comes back. We lose a head. I had one gentleman who wasn't there for the entire presentation, but the Silver Surfer was there instead because that was the virtual background that he had, and he disappeared in it and never came out. If you have a green screen, then by all means, use a virtual background. That's what holds it stable so that you don't disappear in it. One caveat, never wear a green shirt or a green blouse when you have a green screen because the virtual background will show up on your chest. And it's really kind of cool, but it's not exactly where you want the virtual background to be. Hollywood has used virtual backgrounds forever. You know, you can tell when you're in a movie and you're looking at the actress and you go, there's sort of this fine line around them. Even though the background doesn't move, you know they're not in Paris. They're not in Istanbul. They're probably in a studio somewhere with a green screen. Use them judiciously. And the other caveat is do not, if you can avoid it, they're wonderful, they look great, but the moving virtual backgrounds with the palm trees swaying and the tide coming in, that also can be very distracting for your audience. You want them to pay attention to you, not your background. In your office or wherever you're filming, I advise having a very simple background. You probably can't, you can tell that there is a picture behind me, but it's not in my screen. I have a herd of lions behind me who are changing lanes is the name of the picture. They're wandering across, they're female lions with the cubs, and only one of them is actually watching the hyena that's behind them and being aware. Keep your area very clean. You don't necessarily have to go with white, but be aware of, again, what patterns can do to your screen. You can do branded pictures, add potted plants. You can put in flowers. If you do fake flowers, please make sure they're dusted. And you might also use a Sochi screen or a backdrop. I have a colleague who has a bookcase behind her, but it's so busy that she doesn't want people looking at and going, what is she reading? Oh, is there something there that I'd like? Now, however, if you are an author, you can use a bookcase and showcase your books. Just be careful of how busy that bookcase is. What she's done, and though, is she has this gorgeous quilt that she has hung on the bookcase. So we get a chance to see that as her backdrop. So be real considerate about what is your screen. What are people seeing? Does it distract or does it attract them to you as the speaker? Does your desk look like this? This is where distractions come in. When you have an environment like this, and this is where you're doing your meetings, it's real easy to get drawn away to a text message, or a message comes through your email, or whatever it might be. The phone rings, somebody steps up, whatever, or there's just movement on the side of your computer. The less you can have on your desk or wherever it is that you're filming, the more you're going to be engaged with the activity that you're doing. So clean it up. Then again, as Toastmasters, we're used to having food in our meetings, be it a TLI, be it a conference, a club meeting. You usually have snacks or something. There's a break in the middle of the program. However, slurping noodles and eating a giant hamburger has people concentrating on you, not on the speaker, and not on the content of what that speech is. If you need to speak, if you need to eat, then put your camera on mute, as well as the noise. Put it on mute as well. You might in the chat let the moderator know that, I'm sorry, I must step away and have a quick meal. I'll be right back. So again, be aware of what you're doing. Well, now that we're working at home, there are interesting people that enter our rooms. This gentleman's cat is sitting right there in front of the screen, and the dog looks like he's actually engaged in the program. The best thing to do, if you can, is to put the animals outside. If you need to, put them in a crate, wherever they feel safe and where they will be quiet. Again, you can mute, but if you're speaking, you really don't want the dog in the background barking. Cats love to sort of, walk under your nose, or I actually had one who pawed on the screen like, there are people moving there. I want to know what's going on. Put them someplace safe and out of the filming room. Embarrassment. Yes, I have actually had a gentleman who, in the middle of a presentation that I was doing, picked up his laptop, walked away from the room, walked into the bathroom, sat down, and did just this. And we're all sitting there going, no, don't do this. He had no concept that we could see everything that he was doing. If you need to use the restroom, no problem. Just put your video and your audio on mute. You may remember that there was one early on. It was a woman who was a broadcaster on television, and she was doing something about how to pluck your eyebrows or how to do something during COVID. And she's in her bathroom looking at the mirror. She doesn't even realize that her husband is behind her taking a shower. And they do not have a frosted shower curtain. The cameraman caught everything, and it was live. So again, be aware of what's around you when you're filming, and mind your manners. Time. We as Toastmasters are so aware of time. I bless the fact that I have Deborah on the top of my screen, keeping track of my time so that I know when this presentation is over. Make sure that you keep track of time, especially if you're not in a Toastmasters meeting and you don't automatically have a timer. You know, you have a phone. You might use something on your computer as well to keep track of, am I on track? Am I behind? Am I ahead? What do I need to know about this? Okay. There are some things that we can't anticipate. There are distractions that are truly beyond our control. They say weather happens, and it does. I had a woman who I was doing a radio show with, and she warned me that, you know, she had a pretty good connection, but every now and then, if it was windy outside, she'd lose it. Well, in the radio show, we lost her 3 times. And the last time was just before the end, and she knew it was going. And I get deleted expletive, deleted expletive, deleted expletive, and then she was gone. So I said to my technician, let's wrap this up. And we ended up closing it a little bit earlier. And I asked her, I said, what happened? And she said, I could see it go. And I said, did you realize what you said? And she says, oh no, you can cut that out, right? Which we were able to do. PG&E here in California in the summertime does a whole lot of rolling blackouts. I've had speakers at business meetings and conferences and that kind of thing who do not necessarily have a great connection, and or they were just notified that PG&E was going to black them out at that particular point in time. So we made sure that we had at least 2 backup plans just in case that happens. So work with your speakers, work with your coordinators of what do we do if the worst case scenario happens. We can't always plan the things that can go wrong. All right. So now that we've talked about you, we've talked about your environment, and we've talked about your manners, let's look at a few creative ideas for what can you do to jazz it up. I know we're all in Zoom burnout, and you know, we've got Zoom fatigue, and it's like, do I have to do another Zoom meeting? So here are at least 3 things that you can think of. And I know we're extremely creative as Toastmasters, and I know you can come up with more, but I just wanted to give you a couple that might suit you. You could do a theme day. Pick a theme. It could be anything from Harry Potter to Christmas, Mother's Day, Valentine's Day. You could have done Women's History Month, Black History Month. This month is Child Abuse Prevention Month. There's a theme for virtually every month. And then have people dress accordingly, or to bring something in that represents that particular theme into the meeting. And perhaps you give prizes for the best dressed, the best costume that relates to the theme, whatever it might be. Or you can also use it as table topics to talk about, why did you choose that particular outfit or that particular piece of jewelry or whatever that was for our theme this month. That can be, I think that can be great fun. I know we've done it a couple times in another organization I'm in. You could do a talent show. You know, do you have a secret talent? Now it might be a great time to shine. Host a talent show on Zoom to show off the skills and to learn more about your coworkers and your Toastmasters talents. It could be part of the prepared speeches. It definitely can be part of the table topics, or you may just set aside a meeting and just do something fun and not necessarily have any prepared speeches, but have everyone present their talent. Also, we can do show and tell. Find a cherished object, something that's really special, and bring it to your Zoom meeting. I bring Nyla a lot because she is so cherished and she's with me at every meeting and when I speak professionally. It's a way to bring it, you know, depending on what it is, it could be something from preschool. It could be something from your wedding, your divorce, your kids' birthdays, whatever it might be, but something that brings you joy, and bring that into the meeting and have that again as part of your table topics. It could be part of a presentation. There's so many things that you can do with this. Be creative, get beyond, you know, just the normal Toastmasters meeting. While it's great and it's organized and you know exactly what's happening. I remember I was in B&I. Ooh, all right, moving on. Thank you. You could have a hat day. You could have a dress up day, or you might just have a show your stuff day. You could do something red, and that's the end. Thank you, Deborah, so very much for showing this.
Apologize. I got so enthralled in what you were saying, I lost the time. I apologize. Oh my God.
That's okay.
So
All right.
awesome. Could we please give her a big hand? Thank you so much. We really appreciate you being here today. And oh, I just turned off the, we want to make sure that, I'm not sure if I'm a host. I want to make sure that you know that we do have a certificate for you. We really appreciate your, keep doing it, I'm sorry. We really appreciate your presentation today. I learned so much. If you learned something from being more effective in chat, could you please just raise your hand?
Yay.
Yes, thank you so much. I know for a fact I don't have I think it's the information that you have to, in order for everyone to go to D103's website and pull up I think it's the survey, fill it out. You will see all of the presenters' name on there. Just fill it out and let everyone know, especially how much you appreciated Linda Patten. Thank you so much, Linda. We have a couple minutes. Are there any more questions or comments?
I love all the laugh out louds. Excellent presentation, so informative. Thank you, Linda. And do take a look at that, the questions from the chat. That has so much more information about, you know, should you stand, should you sit, what camera should I use, microphones, lighting, all of that. It's from the first one that I did, and they asked me these questions and we couldn't get to them all. So I said, look, I'm more than willing to just answer them and send them out to everybody, which is what we did. And it's a huge resource document. It's 2 pages. It's not gigantic, but it is a huge resource for folks who are doing a lot of Zoom meetings. Did you find it?
I did. I thought I put it in. I'm learning. I thought it says stop share. Does anyone see it?
No, we see your, part of the problem, Deborah, is you shared your screen with you being in the general screen. Now back up, now have it up, now share your screen.
Okay. I think I
Something
stopped.
else to learn is when you share your screen, whatever you put up first stays there. And if you put up something else, it doesn't show up. So you have to
Okay.
back out of the first screen and then open it.
Okay. Oh, I see where.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
close your share.
I did. I've lost everything totally.
There we go.
Okay.
Okay. Now, do you have this? Do you have the certificate up?
I had it up and then I think I accidentally took it out again. Share screen. Download.
Nope.
Okay. I don't know. I had it.
Don't worry about it.
Desktop. I so apologize. I promise you, I practiced this 55 times or more.
Okay.
So this is back to the, in fact, you know what I'm going to do something special for you, Linda Patten. I'm
Yes,
going
ma'am.
to put your appreciation as my screensaver so that everyone could see it. How about that?
That would be great.
Yes, I will. Okay, thank you, everyone. Back to Anise.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Linda.
You're
Thank you
so very
much.
welcome.
Yes, thank you so much for, this was a much needed presentation because I'm sure most, if not all of us have experienced most of what you showed in your slides. So this was a great presentation to close out the education sessions. Thank you so much. Great stuff.
You're so welcome. And I put my email in the chat. So if you want to connect with me, please feel free and I will answer your questions, chat about strategy, whatever it is that you're looking for, and make it happen. So thank you. Great conference. Conference coordinator, as I am so excited about what you've done.
That's awesome. Thank you, Linda. So now, everybody, if you would, we would love to hear from you on how you enjoyed or what you felt about all of the sessions you attended. And your feedback, know that it's very valuable to us. So please take the time, if you're not already, and fill out the evaluations. And thank you so much. And at this time, we will go on a 10-minute break before the mega session with Patricia Fripp. And after that, we will all personally, or should I say virtually, meet her. Again, like Wendy Williams say, grab that snack and come on back. We'll be back by Madam Chair 1:55. Oh man, thank you.